In today's episode of the podcast, we are talking about open loops and how they can help your brain, help you to plan. So, candidly, with the behind the scenes glance that you get here with the podcast, this is actually the first day of a brand new experiment here at the podcast. If you've been listening along for a little while, you will have become used to having twice a week episodes. And sometimes the goal was always to have those episodes as, 5 to 10 minutes long. But sometimes they got a little bit longer. Then running alongside that, we had the daily mindset minutes, which you may have been listening to via Instagram, as where most people listen to those. So starting today, I'm running a bit of an experiment. I'm actually bringing both those different formats together into something that's a bit more bite-sized and actionable for you, but also a little bit more consistent. So every weekday, there's going to be a brand new podcast episode. We're also going to occasionally have guests on the podcast as well. And when we have guests, those will be released over the weekend to give you a bit more time to listen. So if you're not already subscribed, depending upon how you listen to this, if you're not already subscribed, I would encourage you to subscribe. You can also get this podcast on an Alexa-enabled device via Flash Briefing. So there's lots of options for you. And if you're not sure, the best way to find out how to listen is to go to faithandbusinessplayground.com/listen. So with that announcement over with, let's dig in straight away to today's content. So today we're talking about open loops. And the inspiration for this is all this week in the podcast, we are thinking about developing your bounce back. I am the queen of bounce back. It's what I love to do. I love helping entrepreneurs build their resilience, because let's be honest, we all have days where we don't want to. We all have days, and maybe, a combination of days where things don't always work out the way we'd hoped or planned that they would do. That's just life. And candidly, there's nothing you can do to stop that from happening unless you go and, pack up and live in a tent in the middle of the desert somewhere. But even then, I suspect that you will face obstacles. So this isn't about stopping you from having obstacles and things get in the way. Instead, this is about giving you the skills you need to bounce back. And if something has happened and didn't go according to plan, quite often we like to sit down with our notebooks. I'm sure this isn't just me. I love a good notebook. And it's nice to sit down and think, right, now what? And I do this when I plan these podcast episodes as well. And I quite often start with a theme. But I do use open loops every single week when I'm planning ahead the content for the podcast. But it hasn't got to just be for content, of course. It can be planning for your business. It can be planning if you're writing a book. It can be used in many different ways, which is why I'm dedicating a whole episode to it. Otherwise, what would be the point? So open loops. Our brains automatically want to fill in the blanks. We want to answer the questions. And so by asking yourself, and therefore by extension your brain, because your brain is part of you, by asking your brain an open-ended question, your brain will want to come up with the answer. That's the reason why writers with fiction, if you've ever read a book, and this is a little sneaky trick, kind of inside a bit of news for you, but if you've ever read a book where you've got to the end of the next chapter and you can't help but read the next one, it's because of open loops. They do the same thing quite often in TV series as well. Breaking Bad are famous for doing it. You get to the end of the episode and you can't help but want to watch the next one. It's because of open loops. They will, in the case of a book, the writer will introduce some sort of question. So I'll give you a concrete example. Imagine that you've got a character who's just arrived at a house and they're about to, you've been building up to this point where they're going to knock on the door and talk to somebody about something really important to the story. And then right in the end, the chapter is coming to a close, and right at the end of the chapter, they glance up and they see somebody at the window. Automatically, your brain goes, what is that? Who is that? What are they doing? Are they a threat? Are they a friend? Are they the person that this character wants to talk to? All of these questions, split second, you're not consciously aware of it, but your brain is asking questions and wanting to know what happens next. And it hates being left, you don't like being left, what is it? And so it pushes you into the very next chapter. The same thing happens in TV series as well. Right at the very end, there'll be like a little mini cliffhanger, which makes you go, I need to see the next one. And thanks to the way that we view television now. We can binge watch lots of shows. And so you'll see this more and more often in the TV series that you watch as well, because they encourage you to go ahead and watch the next one. Because there's nothing that a writer, whether that be a writer of fiction, books, or a writer of a TV series, wants less than to have readers or viewers stop halfway through a book or a series. No, we want you to get to the very end. And so open loops do that. And the way that you can use that in order to help with your planning in terms of okay, I've had a setback, now what? Is to ask yourself some questions. Sit down with your notebook and think about the things that have happened so far and ask yourself, right, what could I do differently? What do I want to learn from this? What do I want to do now? And just see what comes up. Now, I would encourage you to do this with a sense of play. So the reason why the Faith and Business podcast is hosted by the Faith and Business Playground is I'm all about experimentation. One size does not fit all. You may have heard me say that before. So it's always about trying things. And so I would encourage you to approach this with a sense of fun and lightness and experimentation and just trying stuff out. If you can ease back a little bit on the pressure and not set yourself up with, oh, it's so serious and important, that sense of, I can feel my body tensing up as I say those words. No, you want lightfulness. I didn't even know if that's actually a word, but you want ease, you want grace, you want freedom. So if you can approach this question and these questions from a place of experimentation and wondering, I wonder what will happen next. That will actually make it easier, and you'll have much more creative ideas will come to mind. And as you're playing with this, I should add the reminder as well, don't, at this playing stage, don't discount anything. Because if there's nothing else I've learned from nearly a decade of being in business, is that there is no, there's no one size fits all for the stuff that we do with the brain gymnastics. There's not one size fits all in terms of moving your business forward either. There are many ways you could do this next thing. And so as you're coming up with ideas, tell the editor, the editor in your head, no, thank you, you're not needed right now. Just write everything down, see what comes up, and then you can go through the work of sifting and considering which of those ideas to move forward with after that. So that's my quick tip for you this morning, or this afternoon, depending upon when you're listening to this, about how to use those open loops to help you to move forward. And of course, if you'd like help with this, or if you've got any questions as we move forward with the podcast, I'd love to start answering more of your questions. If you've got questions, you can email me, hello@eledwards.uk, or send me a message, depending upon where you're listening to this. Send me a private message with your questions, and I will do my best to answer those in a future episode, and I'll let you know as well. But if you'd like some support around this stuff, if you'd like some coaching and some one-on-one hand-holding, I would encourage you to book some time for the two of us to have a little chat and see what that might look like for you. No pressure. It's always fun. Find out more about that and to find a time that works for you. If you go to faithandbusinessplayground.com/talk, and you'll see on there's a thing embedded where you can book a time on my calendar. In the meantime, thank you for listening. Like I say, if you're not subscribed, please do. And I look forward to being in your ears tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.